What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Insurance Isn't Boring. I think this is episode 37, if I remember correctly. I'm your host, Elijah, joined as always by Xander Wolle. We got a special guest for you guys this morning. We've interviewed agents. We've interviewed people outside of Symmetry as of last week, different levels of leadership. And we've interviewed the other half of my upline, Chris, a couple months back. And we wanted to get into how she built a team, her experience, couple stats just to kind of edify our guest here. Since being in the industry, she's helped 21 people build a business, 21 agency owners, advisory board members, equity partners. They've hit the top contract in this company. Since being in the business with Symmetry, their team's done over $50 million in sales as a hierarchy. Crossed this year $1 million a month, senior vice president with the company, and all that. As cool as it sounds, she's a mom, she's a wife, she's building a business, making it happen, and super excited to enjoy my cup of coffee and get to interview Lauren Cook. How are you doing this morning? Happy Friday.
Good. Hello. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
I think this will be a good one. You guys just got back from a leadership retreat.
Yes.
Tell us, what was your week like? Xander and I, we normally get into like what we did this week, what we did last month.
Okay.
Obviously, the activity looks a little bit different, but what was your what'd you get done this week? I mean, we normally like how successful was the leadership summit? Tell us about it.
It was great. I flew down to New Orleans Saturday to make sure that one of us was at least there on Sunday when we kicked it off.
People got there early.
We got to the point where we sometimes don't fly together to make sure that we have all our bases covered. So I flew down Saturday. I went out to a vampire cafe and had my tea leaves read because it's New Orleans. And I was like, why not?
That sounds very New Orleans.
So that was super cool. And then Sunday we kicked it off with leadership. We had about 60 people there, which was double from last year. I had actually had to cut it off. I was like, I can't handle any more people. Sorry if you didn't make it.
Good problem to have.
Yeah. So we kicked that off Sunday. Monday, we did a full day. We had Brandon Ellison, Brian Williamson, Marshall Wayland come in and teach our group. And then Tuesday, we did, you had two options. We always do something fun at the end of leadership. So
yeah, association's important.
On a French Quarter food tour, and the other half of us, we went on a cemetery ghost tour because once again,
was that actually spooky in New Orleans?
Yes.
I've been on those before. They're kind of, I don't know, hit or miss, I feel like.
Yes. Last year was horrible. It was so bad. I was like apologizing to everybody. It was like, it had good reviews. I'm so sorry. This year it was awesome. We went to a cemetery in the dark and it was so creepy. And we learned a lot of interesting things, some historical things about, why they're all buried above ground and all this other stuff. So it was fun. So everybody had a good time. I think everybody enjoyed it. I absolutely died Wednesday. I was so tired. Thursday, I rotted all day.
You need a rot day following a big trip like that.
Watched TikTok literally all day. And then here I am today. So that's what my week looked like.
I love it. What about you, Xander? Just to give the people some street cred, man. What'd you get done this week?
Nothing. I'm kidding. No, I have a lot of new agents on my team that they're like on that. They're right at that phase where they've, started on the bonus leads and they've all written a policy or two. And they're like, what am I supposed to do next? So they're like right in that phase of almost being independent, but they still have a lot of questions. So I spent a lot of time with my team. I also have one or two individuals on my team who are like, they're like
talking them off the ledge.
Yeah. They're like, I don't know. Like, this is so weird to ask people about dying, and I need their social security number and their bank account. And so I spent a lot of time being intentional with my team this week, which I got a lot of really nice texts last night, which was a good feeling.
I like it. I like it. That's super important to do. I got a couple contracts back, two, warm market, which this is gonna be fun. And well, that's what I'm telling myself as we start this recruiting journey. And then I helped 6 families, just shy of 10 grand, all of it issued. So that feels fun. That feels good. Um, so yeah, Lauren, tell us, for the people who don't know you, I've known you now for almost a decade, which is
Yeah,
crazy. Got into
it
the
is.
business as a baby. You guys are like my symmetry adoptive parents, and but we've been in it together for a while. And so I know a lot about your involvement in the industry. But who got in the business first? Was it Chris? Was it you? Like, what was life like when you guys first got in the industry at the practice company prior to coming here?
Yes, so that was forever ago. You were probably in diapers still, but, it was it was Chris, got into it first, and the reason he
Okay.
got into it, I was in sales at the time. I was in copier sales. I door knocked
Wow.
businesses,
Wow.
um, just cold calling businesses all around Knoxville, and he noticed that I wasn't really working that hard, but I was still making money. And he's like, I think I need to do something, but I don't know if I can do sales. So we started looking in the newspaper. That's where you used to find a
Wow.
job. So
Pre-social media.
pre all that. So we saw a job at it, said mortgage protection sales, leads, 75K plus a year. And we're like, sounds great. And I said, oh my God, it's got leads. Do you know what I would do to have someone that
Right.
actually wanted a copier talk to me? Because nobody wants a freaking copier. These are not things you buy regularly. These are like $30,000, $40,000 machines that companies buy once
Mm,
a decade or something like that. So you really just
that's
have
a
to get
tough
lucky.
sale.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my God, yes, this is it. So he started doing that, and it wasn't until 2007 when we got married that I came aboard. Like a month after we got married, we're like, "Let's do this together. This is great." No, I don't recommend that,
So,
but yeah,
so
that's
you
how it
guys,
went.
just to clarify, like you guys got married and immediately started trying to do the business together. So
Yeah.
he brought you in right away. Okay.
Yes, we got married June 30th. We went on our honeymoon to Aruba. We came back and Chris had to go straight to like a mini conference in
Okay.
Spartanburg, South Carolina. And
Yeah.
I came over for the weekend because I had my, 9 to 5 job at this point.
Hmm.
And after that meeting, we always say you make big decisions
At
at
big
these
events.
Big
things.
events.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we were like, we can do this. Why am I making Time Warner money? I could make us money. So yeah, I went and handed in my 2-week notice, and I've been doing it ever since.
So this is in 2007. You guys been in the business for a while.
Mhm.
Neither you or Chris had prior experience in insurance sales. You were doing sales
No.
before.
Mm-mm.
What did that look like as far as, I know Chris tells the story, he was in the field for, I don't know, a decade or something. And this is back when, for the people who don't know, like if you're getting the business now, they were faxing paper applications to the carrier type stuff to get it issued. Chris was flying to other states to run appointments and in person. And so what did the first, like, I don't know, 5 years look like? Because you guys were at a prior company, I think, before coming to Symmetry. What did the early stages look like? Because it was a different landscape back then.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I always had to have my phone on me at night when he was running appointments because um at first we had MapQuest. I can tell how old the client is if there's a MapQuest printed out to it. And then he got one of those Garmin GPS things, which they didn't really work in the beginning. So he'd end up in cow pastures and all this other. So I'd have to like get on the computer and try to figure out where he was and get him to his next spot. I when
Giving him
I
directions in the dark when you're in over the phone.
Yeah, yeah, it was looking back on it, I'm like, "Why would anybody do this? This is so hard just to find the stinking client, much less,
Get
write
it
the
issued.
application." So, you know, before we got married, I was supportive. I was just, a cheerleader telling him he can do this. You got this. I believe in you. And, I always say the reason that I could say those things was because he wasn't on the couch watching TV all day or playing video
Hmm.
games or, he was actually doing what he said he was going to do. And I just kept
Yeah.
encouraging that when he had those
Yeah.
bad nights when a client no showed or a client canceled, things like that. How it transitioned when I came aboard full time in 2007, I would we called it scrubbing the apps. You didn't do it in real time. You kind of had this hieroglyphic way of filling out an app, and he'd make
Mm.
notes on the lead, and I would get all that into the app, get it nice and organized, and then send it off to the carrier. I did interviews when we were trying to hire people. That was off and on. Um, just anything and everything
Yeah.
that there
Yeah.
was, following up with clients, following up with the insurance carriers. I quit at least twice that first day. I was
Can
like,
we talk about that? Can we
this
talk
is
about the quitting
horrible."
phases?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Chris had a really hard time of letting go because he had been doing those things for so long, like, um all the things. So he would come behind me and do things, and I just could not. I like, ugh, that drove me insane. I was like, "You are gonna have to trust me that I am going to get this done. It may not look like the way you do it, but the result is still the same." And
Mm.
that was hard for us to like navigate and figuring out, okay, you're gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and we're gonna go about our business because it always drove me crazy when couples were in the business and they wouldn't, um, separate and get more done.
Yeah.
They would
They're
do the
both doing
same
everything.
they would
Yeah.
do the same together. They would, like, run appointments together. They do everything together. And I'm like, "Sweet Jesus, you have 2 of you. Please go and do, separate and cover more ground as fast as you can." Like, Chris and I have always been good at the hustle, like, the work
Mm.
part of it. Like, we may not have been the sharpest or the brightest in the room, but we would outwork anybody there. And
Yeah.
so we had to figure out, okay, this is going to be your set of things, this is going to be my set of things, and we're just going to trust each other that they get done. And that
Mm.
took a bit to figure out.
Yeah. I
Well,
bet.
I'm curious with
Trial and error.
those. Yeah, and I'm curious because I know there's a number of husband and wife duos in the
Mhm.
21 agency owners that you have. Is that an intentional conversation that you guys have with them? Like, do you sit them down? Hey, um, it looks like your skills are stronger here, yours are stronger here. Do you recommend they both do like a trial run period? You both do everything for like 30, 60, 90 days and then figure out who's better at what? Like, what does that conversation look like if you have it at all?
It's more organic. Like, it doesn't happen in one sitting. It kinda happens over the course of it because obviously nobody comes right out and becomes an agency manager. They kinda have to work at it. And typically, most of the time, couples don't start out together at the beginning. They, like I said, they just kinda at the end, that may be their goal, but it may not be how they start out. Um, so we kind of try to figure out who it is, and sometimes we have to have those tough conversations of, "You're
Mhm.
not good at this part. This part is not your strong suit. Why don't we?" And, sometimes you can't even have that conversation because they're, like, so, ingrained into their patterns. So you just try to, direct them as best you can throughout the entire process.
Mm. So, one of the things that I've noticed about you guys is the growth that the cook group has seen. Part of it has been getting everybody rallied around the same vision and shifting the conversation from sell, sell, sell to build, build, build. You know what I mean? And in addition to that, which has been super effective, we went from when I got recruited, I think there was 2 agency owners, 2 or 3 maybe, and now there's 21 in 7 years. But also, you guys started hosting your own events, which I've seen other agencies start doing. You have to wait till you get to a certain level because, I mean, these things ain't free and there's an investment associated with that. But what has been the impact of this is like a two-part question. What's been the impact of events, both on a personal level, like you've gotten stuff out of it because you guys have had crazy keynote speakers at some of these things, but also what has the team gotten out of it that's like led to that going from 2 agency owners to 21? What was how did that work?
It was very intentional
Okay.
is the word, intentional, with everything changing from that producer culture to the builder culture. That was not easy. That was a very rough period. It definitely made a lot of people mad because producers like that recognition, and when you take that
Yeah.
away, that is an ugly, ugly situation. We fought through it. 2019, we held our first conferences just to tell you like how much trouble we had getting everybody on board. We had to have 2. We had to have 1 in Nashville and 1 in Las Vegas to make
I remember
everybody
this.
happy.
I remember this.
And so that was our first one, which was successful. It kinda got people, thinking bigger, and then obviously COVID hit and changed everything. Um, Overnight, insurance companies were like, "Oh, I know you've been asking for e-apps and e-signatures, and we can magically do them." So that changed. I'd also, I always tell people this. It not only did it propel the insurance industry 10 to 15 years ahead of where it was at, it also allowed women to come into this space. It was a very male dominated
Mm,
field. This was not women friendly. Not that no one wanted women here. It was just you went into other people's homes. That's a little dicey.
yes. Yes.
And if you're a mom, it just was a really rough schedule to work. You were working some Saturdays, you were working in the evenings. It's not going to work with most married women's schedules. So
Mm,
that allowed women to come in and do a lot of things. And like we have a lot of female
yes,
agency
we do.
agency
And they
owners, and
are,
I think that really changed things. So
yeah.
then afterwards we realized, after all this separation and having to be by yourself, people needed that connection again, and you cannot get it through Zoom. Like, Zoom is great. It allows us to do a lot of things, but people needed that connection. And so we were very intentional. Once again, we got together in 21 when Symmetry did a Zoom. This was the Matthew McConaughey thing. We had Matthew McConaughey come in and speak for Symmetry. So we had a Zoom. We did it in person. We said, "Hey, if you want to come, great. If you can't, we totally get it." But we wanted to bring people back. We did it again, I think later that fall, just because we got so
Same.
much feedback.
Yeah.
And then we just kept going from there. We were like, okay, this has to be a yearly thing. We started
Yeah.
our leadership, which was just an every other year thing, but that's become a yearly thing. But we just know getting around our people, having our people around each other, that is what creates this goal and this shared vision of one team working together. You can't get that over the phone or on.
So true. So true. And I mean, if you're building not everybody can immediately start hosting their events, but the company group that they're a part of have these events that we can leverage. When you guys went to your first conference, you guys brought people and you've always brought people ever since. What's the hardest part of getting agents to show up to a conference? Because I mean, we can want it for people, we can like dream and hope for them, but at the end of the day, we're just leading the horse to water, and getting people to not only show up to events is sometimes challenging, but getting them to bring people. How are you guys? I feel like that's a skill set y'all have sharpened. Like, what does that look like? Because getting 500 people to show up to an event, which we've done and are going to do again in March, that's no small thing.
It's a couple of things. The first is stating it from the beginning. Remember that intentionality. When you're interviewing, you're saying, "Hey, we've got this conference coming up, whether it's in 5 months or 1 month or 1 week. We are telling about this conference. And then we're asking them what do they want? What do they want out of this? What do they envision this going to be? What do they need? And then we show them how they can get that through being at this event. So we're tying it back to them. It's not for us, it's for them. So if they're wanting to make $150,000 a year, okay, I'm going to put you in front of Elijah and Xander, and they're going to show you how you can do that on your own pen. And then I'm going to show you, Joe Martinez and how he built an organization that is on a 130. I need you to be there to be able to do those things. So if you don't want to be there, that's totally fine, but I can't get you there. I'm not that good.
Yeah.
So I need you
Adjust
to,
your expectations if you don't go.
yeah, I need you to be there. So we're starting it at the very beginning. We're talking about it and, telling people, hey, you need to be there. If you want XYZ, this is how you're going to get it.
Mm.
I have a little bit almost more tactical question on the events. Like when was the how large of an organization do you think that you need to start thinking about? Because there's like corporate overviews, right, which are very different than a conference. Like, how large of an organization do you think that you need for one of these to be beneficial? I'm sure, like with 5 people, right? You could theoretically be like, hey, we'd really propel people with this. And then on the flip side of that, like when we were in national conference, I asked the event planners. I was like, "How long did it take you guys to like put this? Like, how long you been planning this thing?" And they're like, we started in January. They've got a whole team that is working from January until September to put on Engage." And so I'm curious, like the size that it makes sense, also kind of the scope of like, I feel like that's planning, a date night can be a lot sometimes. Like putting together an entire event for a couple hundred people, like I gotta imagine that's a pretty time intensive activity.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is a lot. So we obviously started out with corporate overviews. I encourage everybody, if you can get 10 people somewhere, go host a corporate overview. It's not hard. It's on the website. Go to a couple, see how they run them, and just copy it. It needs to be short. It needs to be about no more than 2 hours. If you are going over 2 hours, you just want to hear yourself talk and nobody wants to listen. So make it 2 hours and then go out to dinner afterwards. Go break bread with people. That is the benefit of the opportunity meeting or the building meeting, how boot camp, whatever we want to call it these
Yeah.
days. That's the opportunity. The after where you're going and sitting down and getting to know these people on a relationship level. That's why we host them.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's the first thing. You can do that at any level, just getting started, AO, hire, go do those. I think when you have, I'd say a couple AOs underneath you, because they're not cheap. They can be expensive, these events, because you're literally paying for everything. Now my favorite game is going to something, even a wedding, and be like, "How much did this cost?" Because I know what everything breaks down. So you've got to figure that out. Talk to your upline, s- get them involved, see if they're hosting anything. But I go to something. One time a year is not enough. I never get to see our people in Denver. We did something a little bit different this year. I paid $8 billion for coffee because coffee at a coffee center is so expensive. And we just had we called it coffee talk. We had coffee talk that morning and got to see our people and got to know them. That was more valuable than the time we spent, speaking from stage or anything like that. So anytime you can just get around your people, no matter if it's going out to dinner, we would fly out because a lot of our agency is out on the West Coast somehow. We never made that, and that was not intentional. That just happened. So we would fly once a month out to the West Coast and get together with our people. Even if it wasn't at a meeting, we would go spend the weekend with them. We went out to Phoenix this summer and rented a cabana and hung out with them all day. Those little things you can do at any point, and they have the biggest impact. I always tell people I mean, when you're building, you're also producing, so you
Yep.
can pay for those things. You've got to be able to pay your bills. Building's not going to pay them immediately, so you've got to keep that production up so you can afford to do those things. So you can buy a last minute plane ticket and fly out to go see somebody. those are going to be the most bang for your buck. Now, your second question about planning, I literally start planning as soon as the last one's over. I'm making
Crazy.
notes. I'm talking to different vendors, things like that, scheduling for the next one because I don't have a team of like 5 people that are doing this. So it's
Yeah.
me. I do have one corporate person, Catherine, that helps me. She's amazing. And then um, I did have a staff. I've had a staff person, but I've lost 2, and it's not
Mm.
because I am awful to work for or anything like that. It's literally they don't like event planning. It is so intensive and so stressful that they're like, "We love the social media part and all that other stuff, but the event planning we absolutely hate. I don't want to do this anymore." I'm like, "I get it. It takes a special person to do the event planning." So yeah, it
So,
does.
I mean, that is a lot. That is a lot. When you guys look at like the investment, the financial investment required to host your own conference, separate from the national conference,
Mhm.
what are you guys hoping? Do you guys have like a percentage goal of growth 90 days later? Or like, how do the metrics look as far as like, we know if we get 100 people at this event for a first time, we know we're going to do, I don't know, 15 or 20% more than we did the months following up to a conference. Have you guys seen like significant bumps in sales following an event because people come out of this all fired up, ready to rock and roll? What does that look like? Or what's the
Yeah.
goal rather?
Chris would have the numbers. I'm not the numbers person. I'm the
Yeah.
spender of this side of things. But yeah, I mean, just to like our goal, let's see, last year, I guess it was to have 6 agency owners break out, and I think we ended with 9. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking for, like, the
Yeah.
growth happens, that's there, because that metric of every 10 people you get to conference is a $50,000 organization down the road. And we know for if you look at it on an individual AO basis, X amount of people that they have will lead to the contract raises. Like you need
Mm,
certain amount to get to 115, 120, 125, 130. If you hit those, you will reach that goal. That's what it takes. We've like
yeah.
narrowed it down that far into detail that if you
Yeah.
have X amount of people, you can guarantee yourself to get to that 130 contract level, which is what we're all striving and
Yes.
pushing for. So I just want to be able to give our our agency, our master agency, an event that they can bring those people to that will get them to that contract. And the rest will work itself out. There will be
Yeah.
automatic growth with it. There'll be all that other stuff, but I need to give them something that they can bring people to, that they want to
Mm,
bring people to, that
yeah.
that they think is just as good or better than the corporate one that is in the fall.
I agree. The what I love about what you just said is your focus. Like my initial thought was, how much more APV are we going to put up 90 days before the event or after
Oh,
the
yeah.
event? Your focus is how many agency owners are going to be a result of this event 90 days down the road or 6 months down the road. That's the difference, I think, of how 130 thinks versus somebody who's not hit that mile marker. Um,
I'm trying to create stability for everybody. It's that stable platform when you're building a house, you wanna have that strong foundation, you don't wanna just build a tower, you need that
amen to
strong
that.
foundation. So, that's what we're looking at. The APV will come, you don't have to worry about the APV, it's gonna come. If you can get that strong foundation, you're gonna have longevity in the business, and we always say, "What's your number one goal?" is to stay in business, so
Hmm.
that's what we're trying to create.
That's good. That's good. So what's been the I mean, life looks pretty cool right now. If anybody follows you on Facebook, you guys are going on what seems like 15 vacations a year. I may be underselling it. London, Mexico, all over the world. One of the cool byproducts of being in the insurance industry is the carrier trips, but also you
Yeah,
make enough money, you can go do what you want. You can go to
right.
Disney 3 times a year if you like. What's been and all that's cool, but there's also hard stuff that we got to go through in this business. I mean, it's running a business. Entrepreneurship is it's no walk in the park, even though you can go on sick trips and make a crazy income. What was the last hardest season, Lauren, that you remember? What was going on? How'd you guys get through it? And then I want to talk about like those high points that remind you this is why I do this.
I'm trying to think. I mean, we have
Or has
we
it
have
been so
we have
long ago?
written no. It's still in recent memory, but, we have so many. You may have a day that's tough, you may have a week that's tough, you may have a month that's tough. It's just perspective. I try to keep thinking, this too shall pass.
Hmm.
You just gotta keep going. You just gotta keep putting your head down and going forward. Sometimes you don't want to. Um, this time of year, Elijah, 5 years ago, our world
Mm-hmm.
got rocked,
Yes.
um, with losing our dear friend, and we had to put our head down and keep going, and we mourned the loss and mourned the hurt, but we had people that were looking to us. A mentor told us a very, very long time ago, when you get your first recruit, when you get your first person on board, you lose the right to be average and ordinary.
Mm,
You have to set something for these people that you bring on board, so we
mm.
don't we could have like, I was ready to pull my hair out this week with leadership and everything like that. I can't I can't show that, or, I have to keep going. I can't. I've got people watching. I've got people that need me. You just keep going. That's just how I've always treated it.
Just keep swimming.
Yeah.
What what's been I mean, you guys go on all kinds of trips every year. This year, you got anywhere cool that you're like really looking forward to, or what's been like one of the cooler trips you've been on recently?
We've done a lot this year. We just got back. I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago. I've lost track. We took our 130s. We have 3 130s, and we decided to do it all at one time, and we took them to London, which is mine and Chris's favorite city. We love it. It's just it's our home away from home. Like, I just get so happy when I'm there. And we took our 130s there and showed them around the town, took them out. We did all kinds of things. We did touristy things, all the things, and that was really fun. So I think that should encourage you to our 130 trip is London. We take everybody to London
That's so
and
fun.
go have a good time. So yeah, and we paid for, flights and hotels and dinners out and all those good things. But we're going to Iceland this December. Very excited about that. Never been to Iceland.
Me neither.
We did Jackson Hole this summer, which was fun with the
These
kids. We
are these are
did the rodeo.
high-end locations that you're going to.
Yes. Yes. I have been to about 7 Four Seasons in the last 9 months, different ones, no repeats.
Very tough life. Very tough
Yes,
life.
and well, it's spoiled me. It's made me atrocious, honestly.
That's funny. That's funny. Xander, do you have a question, man?
Well, I just want to make a point. Like, like just being in business. I saw a quote. I think it was like from Dana White the other day, where he's like, every day, though it can feel like the world is like fighting to take you out of business. Like somebody is quitting, or there's going to be a chargeback. Like there's always going to be headaches, and it's combining that with the other side of like there's a reason that we are in business, because you get to go do cool stuff like that. And like I think that it's important to remember for anybody listening, and even I'm sure for all of us on here, is like you go through all of this to have this side of things that's so great. And like that's what when I was in a 9 to 5, like that's what you're missing. You're missing the like looking forward to something. It's just, hey, can't wait till I'm 60 and I get to retire on that 401k, right? And that's not the way that it works in the insurance business. And it's always fun to hear from someone who's much further along than I am, of like, here's what life looks like when you've got like you have different kinds of problems than I've got. How the heck am I going to coordinate all these people at these events and make sure that, no one's doing anything crazy and all of that. And it's just, but it never gets just like easy. Like there's never not going to be problems. And so that's one thing that I've really just, it's kind of something I feel like you get used to where if you're hoping for a day when like there's just never going to be something you have to deal with, that's kind of unrealistic, right? You're talking about in New Orleans, it's just a different kind of hard, but remembering on the other side of that, there's so much good. Um, One thing I really wanted to ask you though, Lauren, is you talked about staff. And that's something that I have been like you guys have Tina, who's, the best. I don't get to work as closely with her as the two of you do, but I'm just curious, like when you're looking for a staff member, what is it that you're looking for in someone? Because I would imagine that's very different than what you're looking for. I know we aren't technically looking for things in agents, like they're going to decide if they're going to do it or not. But a staff person, right? They're going to be W-2. Like you're paying them no matter what. I feel like you might have to be a little bit more particular because there's a certain skill set and personality and maybe some of those intangibles that you're looking for in someone to bring aboard to help you run this thing.
Yes, staff is a big thing for me. I tell people to get a staff person as soon as they can. It's not, um, if you get that raise, that 5% raise, don't even think that you have that 5% raise. Put it into staff. Like that's a staff portion of your paychecks, basically. Uh, so I say get one as soon as you can.
Mm,
It'll make your world so much easier. But you want somebody that can work independently. You don't need to be asking them where they are. What are they doing? You need them to be able to work independently. Someone that's kind of a go-getter, that makes your life easier. If they are not making your life easier, fire them. This is not
that's
like
good.
a
Hire
1099
quick, fire
position.
quick.
Yeah, hire quick, fire quicker. We went through thousands of people before we found Tina.
Mm.
This is not
It's
we
just
didn't
like
just hire
recruiting.
Tina on the first time and we're like, "Ah, we're done." No, Tina came from a long line of other people, before we could hire her. You want somebody pleasant on the phone, that somebody that can handle Excel, different programs, that knows how to run a Zoom, that can just keep up with things. I didn't have time to teach somebody how to use Excel, which is what, or Google Sheets, whatever you want to use. They need to have some basic knowledge of those things. And I would tell people, I'm going to start you here, but you can get here just like I do. And we have a bonus program. She gets to come on our incentive trip. She's coming to the Dominican Republic. She's bringing Ike, like her husband, um, where we have incentives for her just like we have our agents. So find somebody that is incentivized by that stuff. If they're like, "Oh,
Mm.
money doesn't matter to me," I'm like, not interested. You're not my person. I need somebody that is motivated for a $300 bonus each month. That's what I'm looking for. So it is kind of
Yeah.
similar to hiring agents. You want somebody that's motivated, and because I can't motivate you. I've
Mm,
tried. There's nothing
yeah.
I
Yeah.
can do that will motivate you. So it's the same thing in staff. You want somebody that is motivated by those things. Yeah.
Mm, that's
Tina,
good.
like, I'll get an email today because I've got to put in the payday for Monday. And I'll get an email from Tina, my bonuses. And
That's funny.
yeah.
I've seen the impact of having somebody on staff because, I mean, as you grow, your time becomes more valuable. You start to focus on different things to elevate your business. I mean, the truth is, Chris ain't in the field anymore, and neither are you. Like, you guys have your license, but you're not out there selling policies. You're focused on growing a business and being able to delegate to somebody who's not only competent, but that you trust and that you like being in business with is huge. I mean, it can be kind of scary when you're in that early stage, like you're building, your team's not massive yet, you're producing, you're not making what you want to make, you're not struggling, you're kind of in that in between phase. You guys didn't wait to hire a staff person. Like, I feel like you guys have had Tina for quite some time, and before her, you were finding somebody else. Um, how did like on the financial side of things, like for people who are trying to build a business, how do you budget for like your business expenses and personal, but also you're investing way more now in your business than you guys ever have between events, staff, everything, incentive trips. How do you manage that? Like that's I feel like difficult. I feel like it's probably harder when you're newer and you're not as big, but like you guys didn't wait.
No, we knew if we were gonna be building and we wanted to get Chris out of the field as fast as possible because he was so burnt out. I'm like, "I'm gonna be picking you up from jail in a minute if we keep going if we keep going this," 'cause like I said, we were not on Zoom at this point still. We were still running appointments the old-fashioned way through car. So for anybody panics, it was a lot different. So we knew we had to have help to do all those things because, hiring an agent, if you don't have a way to, get people scheduled in an interview, you've gotta do it. You've gotta call through the resumes, generate that social media post, however you're doing it, warm market, cold market. So, but you need then comes the getting them into licensing or getting their contracting back or making sure they filled out this and have they done the next step, getting them through the process and all. So that's, $15 an hour work, 12 to $15
Yeah.
an hour work right there. And
Mm,
so either you are doing that work at $15 an hour, or you can pay somebody to do it, and you can do $400 and $500 an hour work. So when you look at it that way, you're like, well, I'm losing money if
by
I
doing
don't
this.
have this.
Yeah.
So that's when you start getting creative and you're like, okay, well, if I write 2 extra apps a month, I always boil it down to apps. Like, how many extra
Yeah.
apps do I need? So 2 extra apps a month, I can pay for somebody to help me with all this and grow faster.
Mm,
And so to me, that was always worth it. And we've always, once you hire somebody, you find a way to pay them.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
you you
Forces you to
you figure it out, and maybe
yeah.
you can't hire somebody full-time, 40 hours a week. That's okay. You can start at 20 hours. You can start at 15, you can start at 10 and grow from there. It doesn't have to be, 40 hours immediately. You're not gonna have the work for them. So maybe you go in with 2 other people and split somebody. Maybe you see if your agency owner has a staff person you can buy some hours from. Just think outside the box. Think of different ways that you can get that, for yourself. And I always tell people, remember, if you do have a spouse or a partner, your spouse or partner is not an admin. You cannot fire that person. You can. It's called divorce. It's very expensive, but just remember that when you're trying to figure that out. Chris and I, I was making. This was a while ago, so this was a lot more money back then, but I was making about $60,000 a year when I worked for Time Warner. And when I quit my job, basically, Chris hired a $60,000 staff person. That was probably not the best idea. We probably should have started a little slower and worked into it. So, yeah,
Mm,
but there's lots of ways to get a staff person. There's lots of different ways to fund it. Just figure it out. Whatever you need to do,
yeah.
figure it out.
And it's something that like once you start it, you got to stick with it. You got to stick with it. It's not like you're hiring a staff person for 1 month or 2 months, like a temp hire that like they're a part of your business now. Um, so I want to shift gears just a little bit, Lauren. Like I'd love to get your perspective as somebody who's not only been in the business for as long as you have. I mean, you know every aspect of what we do, but you've also done it with your person, with your partner, pretty much the entire time. And like, what would you say for people who want to do this with their spouse, whether it starts out with them being the supportive cheerleader, which is a super valuable role. I mean, this would be damn near impossible if somebody was just telling me all the time, don't do this, you got to quit. This is crazy. Having somebody supportive is super important, but sometimes people want to just run the business together. We've interviewed Jordan and Jared. We've interviewed Mark and Mary Cholock, and there's tons of couples in Symmetry making it happen. Are there like three I would say, like, tidbits or pieces of advice you would wanna impart to somebody like that just to, I don't know, make their journey a bit easier? I mean, there's an element of figuring it out along the way you have to go through, but what have you learned? What are a couple pieces of advice you'd give to somebody wanting to do this with their spouse?
That's a good question. I would say first, like I was just talking about how Chris basically hired on a $60,000 admin to start. Maybe wait a beat and see if you can replace their income if they do have a significant income. See if you can replace that first. So that way that strain is not on there, because when we're stressed about money, it kind of leaks everywhere into our business. So figure out where you're comfortable with that when you're bringing them on. Are they leaving a high paying job? I mean, if they're working hourly somewhere too, that's a lot easier to, you know, transfer over. Talk about it a lot before you make that step. Talk with your
That's good.
agency owner, your upline, your growing upline. I always say growing upline because if we've got a lot of deadbeat AOs out there. So if they're
They're
not
not
growing,
they're
they're not
receding.
doing anything, go to the next level. So go to your growing upline, talk to them about it. They know where you're at financially, how you work.
Mm,
If you're not putting in the time and effort, don't drag your spouse into it as well, because they'll just create a lot of problems in your marriage. You don't want
that's
that.
good.
So sometimes it's not worth it. So, like, have
Yeah.
a lot of discussions. Chris and I have always been really good about communication. Communication is the number one thing above all of it. You've got to communicate, 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 even if you don't want to, even if you're avoidant like me, like, I just don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. I just want to ignore it. It'll go away. Sadly, it will not happen. You've got to sit down and talk to each other.
That's good. Um, Dinner, did you have a question? I got one if you don't.
No, I'm just taking it in.
Okay.
If you got another question.
So I know you guys have invested in coaching, you and Chris both. Shout out Brian Williamson, B Dubs, big part of the leadership and development that Symmetry has experienced over the last few years. Um, how has that impacted you guys working together, building a business? Because there was probably a clear pre-coaching and post-coaching difference in just like how you communicated with your agents, the culture you guys are creating. Things are the best they've ever been, and I have a feeling personal development is a big part of that. So like what, and you guys also brought that to the leadership summit. Like that was the purpose of this event, was personal development. So like I guess my question would be, obviously you would recommend it, but what's been something maybe recent that you've learned or was uncovered through personal development that had an effect on your business or had an effect on your leadership?
Yes, definitely recommend coaching. Personal development is so big. It's definitely, um, I know on the other side, it's made me a better wife. It's made me a better mom. Just taking it out of the business realm, I'm just a better, person in general. I feel
Yeah.
from all this. I definitely think of things differently and how I react to things. And it's definitely helped Chris and I with, because we are so opposites. We are complete opposites on all of the
Five
different
voices.
personality, the 5 voices. I'm a pioneer creative. He's a guardian nurturer. Like, we couldn't get
Mm.
more opposite if we tried in things. And so it's helped how we communicate so we can have a strong front. Like, if you're going to run this business together, your agents need to know that if they came to either one of us, they would get the same answer,
That's good.
because a lot of times they'll be like, with kids, they'll go to mom and ask for something and she says no. So they go over to dad and see if he'll say
Yeah.
something different. Agents are the same way. They do the same thing. So we make sure we want to have the same answer whenever people are asking us something. And
That's
that's
good.
definitely helped us with those things, just to be able to communicate better and understand where people are coming from, because I'm very that pioneer side of me. I'm very quick. I I make a decision, I build my wings on the way down, and so I'm always like, "Well, why wouldn't you just go and do it? Just go do it, you'll figure it out," and Chris is like, "Whoa, slow down."
He's like, I got to verbally process this first.
Yes, yes, it's so funny when Williamson was coaching us, this was before he came over permanently to SFG, he would always be like, "Okay, Lauren, I'm gonna give you this question, and then Chris, you can think about it. Why Lauren? Because Lauren's already got her answer for this. You could process it, and then we'll go back to you." So he
Mm,
picked out how we worked pretty quick.
that's awesome. And I've taken a few classes that Giant Brian Williamson, the leadership and development company, have done, and it's super, super important. Like, I think personal development is kind of unnatural. It's not something I didn't start doing it until somebody said, "Hey, you should go read a book. Get your 10 pages a day in. You gotta work on yourself. Lead. What is it?
To
What
know
is
yourself
Self
the?
to
to
lead
free
yourself.
yourself.
Yes, know yourself to lead yourself. That's the
Yeah.
phrase, and that starts the journey
Mhm.
of personal development, and then it elevates as your team grows. That's so good. I feel like I wanna give you maybe a couple rapid fire questions, and then we can try to land this plane. One is, what's been the best book you've read this year, um, and why? We've read a couple. I don't always follow the book of the month, but I've got a couple that have been really good. And it doesn't have to be a personal development book. I mean, I know you're into, yeah,
Yeah,
you're a big reader. You're a really
I
big
am a big
reader.
reader. I am a big reader. I don't, I will read the occasional personal development book if I'm intrigued enough by it. It's gotta I love and hate personal development books. I like podcasts because I think you get some different perspectives. I feel like at this point with personal development books, they all are literally saying
The
the same
message is,
thing,
yeah.
just in different ways. So if you can give me a different way of saying it, I'll be like, okay, I like this. I was trying to think of the oh, I can't think of the title. It's the one I know you guys have read
Is it
it.
a
The one
is it a murder mystery or no? Maggie's really big into mystery right now.
No, I have several. I always have about 3 or 4 books going. I have a spicy fun one, and then I have and then I'll have a couple of it might be like I'm reading A History of Iceland right now,
Ah, yeah,
and another book, How Iceland Changed the World.
interesting.
Talking about so I'll read some things about those, and then I may read, like, an autobiography or something like that because I think that is also very useful. I think we can learn a lot from historical figures with
Yeah,
leadership. I
yeah.
just about crisis leadership and Ernest Shackleton, if you've never he's always promoted as this amazing leader, and he was a complete crap show, to say it nicely. He
Not a
caused
good
all the
human.
problems to himself, and I feel like we in our culture today, the loudest get the if you're loud, you're automatically, "Oh, what a great leader this person is," and I'm like, "You've
Mm,
created all these problems in your life, and I'm glad you got yourself out of them, but you could have not caused those problems in your life and just kept on trucking." So
mm, I like it. Um, what's what's yours and Chris's, I don't wanna say end game, but, like, what are you guys fighting for right now? Because you guys are at a point where y'all could retire if you want. Like, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong. Um, but what is your guys' goal that you guys are actively working towards currently? Um, what does that look like?
no, my end game looks a lot different from Chris's. I don't know if Chris could ever give it up. Like, he loves working with people. He
Yeah.
loves getting people to where they want to go. He used to have a goal of getting 10 people to 100K a year. We're we're way over that goal at this point. So, like, now it's how many millionaires can I help?
Yeah.
Um so his end game is much more different from mine. Mine, I could definitely retire sooner rather than later and be a librarian or something like that, or, you know, have my dog rescue of hound dogs. I don't know.
That's also, yeah, that's Maggie's dream as well. So a
Yeah.
little animal sanctuary.
Yeah.
I like it. Um, Xander, you got anything, man? We could land this plane. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground, and I got to re-listen. I'm gonna make Maggie listen to this too. But what are your thoughts, man?
I think the biggest thing that so my fiance is she's honestly fairly similar to your story, Lauren. Like she does tech sales, so not she's not selling copiers, but she's selling technology.
Mhm.
And I have continued to obviously I share with her what I'm doing. She's coming to, the Dominican with us. She's really good at what she does. And so I think she gets a lot of fulfillment out of that. Like, who doesn't like being good at what they do? And so I'm trying to figure out the right kind of time to be like, hey, you should maybe come think about doing this with me. Um, but I don't, I like, you can't force anything. As you can't force a sale. You can't force someone to start recruiting. You can't force your, spouse, significant other to come into the business. And I'm curious, like, I've asked this question to a lot of people, and a lot of the responses I've gotten is like, just get her to events. Like, this business is caught, not taught.
Yeah.
But I would ask of you, as someone who came into the business after being in sales, like, was there something in particular that you were like, hey, I think we would be better at this if we did it together? What was that turning point for you? And how would you advise someone who doesn't yet have that to maybe introduce it to their spouse or significant other?
Yeah, the biggest thing, obviously, we made that decision after being at an event because I saw other couples working together and I'm like, they don't look like they can tie their shoes and they are successful. Maybe we should do this together and be really successful at this. But I've always been the type of person that wants to, you know, dive in head first. Like I said, I jump and think about it on the way down. Not everybody is like that. So, yes, definitely bring your spouse around, bring your partner around as much as you can. Just so they see what you're doing and see the people that you are with and know that they are good people and you are doing good things. That is the
Mm,
bare minimum you should do because if your partner or spouse is not on board, this business is impossible. Like if I
agreed.
meet a couple and the partner is like, "Nah, it's not really my thing. I don't know what they're doing. I don't really like this." I'm automatically like, "Well, that person's going to be gone soon and I'm probably not investing much time in them because they're around their partner 24/7. I'm only around every so often. That voice is way louder." So I want them to see what we're doing, be involved as they want to be. And she may never want to be fully involved in this, and that's okay too. I mean, not everybody wants to be in this, and that's totally fine. As long as your spouse is supportive of what you're doing, and I tell Chris he could sell gumballs and I would still know he would be successful at it. That's the kind of attitude that I'm looking for in a spouse. So if they are nothing more than that ever, you're winning.
Right.
You've got all that you need.
Mm.
So just expose her to it, mention it, be like, "Hey, what would it look like if we worked together? Would that be something you're interested in?" And if she's like, "No, that's cool." That's cool too.
So
That's
I
good.
appreciate that. Yeah.
That's good. I love it. Well, hey, I feel like I got a lot out of this. I know we have a pretty diverse audience as we do in agency, which I love. So a lot of different types of listeners, and I wanted to spotlight your voice and show what can be accomplished when you do this at a high level with your person. And so this is going to be an episode I go listen back to a few times. But other than that, Lauren, thank you so much for your time, being vulnerable, being on here. Appreciate you being a guest today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. I hope I helped and didn't make things worse.
I,
No, I'm sure
I
you
know
did.
for a fact we did. I know for a
Yeah.
fact we did. Well, with that, get out there, go kick some tail. We'll see you guys next Friday. Have a good week.